Now, the Kenyatta Odinga Unity Pact has largely been supported countrywide, and I presume by the guests in studio tonight as well, that is political analysts Herman Manyora and Gabriel Muthuma. I don't know if this means they will finally agree on issues. We'll look at that shortly. We'll analyze the contents of what the two leaders, that is Uhuru and Kenyatta, Uhuru and Raila promised to do together shortly. Our question again, what role do you expect Odinga to play after his pact with President Kenyatta? Keep talking to us. Text us on 22422. On Twitter is the hashtag The Big Question. We can take a look at your feedback now, a sample. Right, we'll take a look at your feedback shortly. First, let's take a look. Okay, Julius Marcy. Raila Odinga will continue championing myriad of challenges facing Kenyans, such as massive negative ethnicity, inclusiveness, massive corruption, and democracy. Ibrahim Bakari, Raila Odinga must now point out the breeding grounds of corruption, ethnicity, and social justice for total eradication. He should be responsible for a new face of Kenya, where economic stability will not again be under any sort of political threat. Evans Gitau, Raila can assist the government in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I believe he can be tough to bury corruption to the world of unknown. Daniel Lobal Logilai, Raila should spearhead the electoral justice reforms for lasting peace for future generations during the elections. And Peter Santoni says Raila's role will be made clear when the dialogue starts and ends well. Up to now, it's just speculations. Exactly. So, first, let's take a look at what happened today before we go into these issues. The consequences of this surprise move on Friday. After the ODM parliamentary group meeting today, this is what was said. Let's take a look.
And meet for the sake of the nation. 6, the PG encouraged the party leader, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, to stay focused on the big picture and the struggle for a better, just, inclusive, and fair Kenya, and refuse to be distracted by those positioning themselves for 2022.
Gabriel, I'll start with you. What does that statement mean? Of course, it comes after the meeting yesterday by all the principals. What do you make of that statement?
Well, thanks, Hussein, for having us. First of all, the statement has two sides. One, it has the political element, which is, talking about 2022, comes out very clearly, and then it has the national outlook on it, where he talks about, the things that Raila should be looking forward to. And it's a whole list, a myriad of issues, starting from corruption and everything else. So it has two sides, and as much as we would like to talk about the national element of it, it's telling us and every other Kenyan that we need to buy into that narrative. And it's okay, because it's speaking to the hearts, and it should be allowed to speak to the hearts of Kenyans. So we need to allow the national element to do that. But when it comes to the political, scenario towards what we are hearing our Mheshimiwa Junet talking about, we can speculate a lot. Because it's himself, again, who has pronounced himself to the people who are talking about the shenanigans of 2022. So what does that entail politically? That is where the speculation begins. Nationally, good document, nice to talk about, talks about so many things, corruption and everything else. But again, politically, so much speculation, and I hope that's what we'll be talking about this evening.
Aman.
Well, just to thank these two for doing what they ought to have done even earlier. I have personally spent a lot of energy and time urging the two gentlemen to meet, because Kenya, there was a sigh of relief in the country on Friday. And really, tensions were getting to a point where, Hussein, we had to do something about it. This country would have imploded, really. So just to thank the two gentlemen and to ask Kenyans to support this initiative and forget small issues. When you have something as big as this, Gabriel will agree with me. There will always be small hiccups here and there, disagreements here and there. But if you look at the bigger picture, what this means to this country, then we will all support it and not give much thought to the small things Gabriel wants us to concentrate on.
Hussein, did you get what Prof just said? I told you the document means well. If you look at it from an angle of what it entails, it speaks volumes. And I know you've seen it, you've read it. I mean, it talks a lot. And what it is asking me and Prof and every other Kenyan to do is to buy into it and make a very deliberate choice. What choices do we have that we can support this document that says, and it's a very good document, that tells us, guys, we can all play part into ensuring that Kenya moves forward into development and into prosperity. Or we can play a part to continue wading our country into nuisance, okay, that will only develop a narrative of being an underdeveloped and, again, irritation of society. So we can choose, okay, which one to play. And that is why I'm encouraging everybody. It is a good document. Let that document in itself speak to the hearts of Kenyans. But that's the national issue. But the political issue, you can't run away from it. And they are not small things, like he tells us. That is why the Honorable Raila Odinga went to Stony Athi, and we are told he was there for a visit to 3 hours.
To meet the other NASA principals.
Exactly, to meet the other NASA principals. So
you don't think that's important, Haman?
It is important, but it should not blur us from getting the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that this country has an opportunity to rebirth, to look at things afresh and have a fresh beginning and address the challenges we've been facing in this country, which if we don't, by the way, can destroy this country. I know there are issues. I've said there will always be small issues. Why didn't you go with me? Why did you go with so-and-so? You know, those ones will always be there. Okay. And it's on both sides. Ruto wasn't there.
But he hasn't complained. He
hasn't complained. Why should we?
In fact, he encouraged. I mean, if you look at it, he said exactly
this and support this.
He supported it.
Unlike what we have seen in NASA.
So the other side, again, you see, the cohesion in Jubilee is not the same thing with NASA.
Okay.
NASA brings different factions together. They are not as well bonded and glued as the Jubilee side is.
Okay.
You know? So that presents a challenge.
All right. Yeah. I'll look at something else that happened in Parliament shortly, that is today. But first, we are yet to see the structure or form of engagement between Kenyatta and Odinga, and what kind of engagement that we'll be looking at. They have pledged to work together on several issues, again, including matters of development, corruption, safety, security, devolution, inclusivity, a lack of national ethos, and so on and so forth. Yes. Looking at what NASA has been demanding all through, there are critics, including Mudavadi on Saturday, who say Odinga abandoned their fight for reforms, especially electoral reforms. So what do you think?
You see, all these things you are reading, this document, this meeting, this deal, I am surprised I've not come across a Kenyan who seems to understand this thing. These two gentlemen say, we know where the problem is, right? Mm-hmm. We are ending the problems here on the steps of Harambee House. Going forward, the problems that have bedeviled this country, the problems of division and so on and so forth will end. But they also say something critical, and that brings in what you are saying. They also say, we have tried reforming even institutions. We have even given ourselves fresh laws. We have given ourselves a constitution. But it hasn't worked. And therefore, I keep telling Kenyans, when I get on an opportunity like this, there is something they can hit like this, magic, and Kenya changes. It cannot be fixing those things. Because what laws will you bring in place? Because to put it bluntly, Hussein, the problem in this country is that a clique has held state, captured the state. There is a clique that cannot allow anybody to go to State House even if you win. That is what they have addressed, in my thinking,
in my small thinking. Okay, what do you mean when you say a clique that cannot allow you to go to State House even if you, what do you say, if you have the right to?
You know what
are you talking about winning the presidency? What are you talking about?
I'm saying is, in countries such as ours, there can be people who enjoy certain advantages, perhaps numerical advantages by population or historical advantages, and using those advantages, they make it difficult for anybody else to compete fairly. That's what I mean. I can even push it further. If you look at our history, it is littered with betrayal. And if these two gentlemen are not addressing that, which they can't put in that document, then they are wasting our time. You must address the betrayal and appease a community that has been wronged in this country. You must address the betrayal of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga by Kenyatta. You must address the betrayal of Raila Odinga by Mwai Kibaki, and so on and so forth. It is because of this that I'm looking at this statement. I'm watching Raila speaking and Uhuru, and I say, what is it that these two gentlemen can say we are bringing to an end?
So have you seen anything?
That's what I'm trying to say. They can only bring this thing to an end if President Uhuru tells Raila, you fought so hard for this country. Let us move forward. In 2022, we are going to re-engineer this constitution. Mzee utapewa hiyo ya mwisho umalizia hapo ukiwa president.
That to you is...
And we shall have... Don't jump.
How is that to say that is what will change everything?
Because, let me tell you this. I love this country so much. The only reason why I speak on TV and anything is because of my love for this country. Let me tell you this. Unless and until you address this betrayal of a certain section of this country feeling betrayed, paying more than their share of problems, being persecuted, being tortured, I'm telling you, unless you address that, anything else...
Is that what this is about?
Hussein, you see, Prof, and again, it is wrong for you to make betrayal a national agenda. The President Uhuru was not privy to what was agreed between Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga.
But you can address it.
No, address it as... no, come on. Don't make... You see, I talked about a national document that came out. It talks volumes. And that's why I'm saying, Prof, allow this document, when it's done in finality, let's see how that office will be run. Let's see what will be agreed. Thing is, Raila Odinga did not go there looking for a position. All right? I've not seen it. And that is why, as we move along, and as we move along, we must then question. That's why I say this document has two faces. This document has two faces. It has the national face, which is what we are reading, which is very good, and it has the political angle where everybody is making the shenanigans, and you've had the betrayal that is, the skewed narrative that is talked about betrayal, which I don't think should find space in that good document.
Let me explain.
So when we talk, hang on a minute, when we are trying to reach out to a country that needs to be developed. Hussein, you know what we are talking about? We are cognizant that our neighbors are moving faster than we are. We must change our thinking and our ideas. We must now start understanding where do we bring in value. It is not an issue of conquering who or which tribe or who betrayed who. All right? It is about understanding where do we see opportunity, and where we see opportunity, we ensure we've turned it into value. I mean, we have so many things happening. Just the other day, we were talking about deforestation. The other day, we were talking about global warming. Those are the challenges of the 21st century. Okay. And if this document is addressing such, let us give it vitality. But now, returning us back to issues of betrayal, I mean, it's, they still have not, they are still fighting who is betraying who. Just the other day, somebody within us who had said, I sense betrayal. That is what you should be addressing.
Let me help my friend get the picture. What I'm saying is this, and you need to get me well. I'm saying there are all these things you can do, including inclusivity, including this and this, including coming up with new laws and what to address problems. But there is one thing you must touch, which is nationhood. Until you make every Kenyan feel he's a Kenyan, you can do all these things, but you cannot go far.
Prof, so how do you make every Kenyan feel a Kenyan? Through what? Exactly, that's what I'm trying to finish.
So give me a moment, I explain to you. Why do some people feel there is something amiss? There's something standing in their being proud of being Kenyans, in their nationhood. Let me tell you, even if you built every Kenyan a 3-bedroom house in this country, like it has been done in other countries, and gave them free medical care, and gave them free education, until you make them feel they are part of this country and they love this country.
In what sense, Prof?
It is normally, listen, it is normally the citizens' relationship with government. It is normally the feeling and the honest truth that any Kenyan, Manyora, Gabriel, Hussein, has a fair chance of competing for leadership of the country.
Isn't that addressed by inclusivity?
Unless you address that.
Yes, exactly. What does inclusivity talk about? And it is actually written there in black and white. That's inclusivity. That's what you're talking about. And in fact, if we should turn that document properly, you will see these were some of the things that were included in the agenda for issues that we actually never.
Maybe you didn't. I wish you feel.
Okay.
Just a moment. I want him to finish. To understand what I'm saying. Even if you give people all those beautiful things, even if you go use the Singaporean model. In Singapore, Hussein, no community can get more than its quota in terms of jobs. If you are 50% in population, you'll get 50% of the jobs. Even if you did all those things, until you make Kenyans feel they have a fair chance of competing for the leadership of the country, you are wasting your time.
Okay.
And I'm sure these two gentlemen, they have addressed that privately.
Right. So I'll ask this question that we're asking, actually, the big question tonight. What role, because you're waiting to see what the structure will be.
Correct.
What kind of engagement will be there. But what role do you expect Odinga to play after he's back with Kenyatta? Because some of these functions, actually government functions.
Correct.
Some of these things they are saying they're going to do together.
Yes. In fact, and that's what I would like to, that's what probably I would want to see. See, somebody made a very good observation when he said, we would want to see, first of all, a large secretariat, put in place, and then they start talking, and we see how they are going to, to operate, and how they are going to solve this problem. When you talk about devolution, we know there's an issue in devolution, yes, but how, what role, how will he play it, okay? And again, these are the sophisticates of what we've been introduced to. So we have to be very patient to see the kind of national outlook that it will take. You cannot, you have to give it to Raila that he commands serious, governors who are code elected. And so if he was to speak a certain narrative to them, whether it's county wastage, they will listen. So is that the part that he's going to play? There are so many other things that he can also bring into play. Things like what we saw, the destruction of property when things were, moving haywire, all right? Those are some of the things that he can come into play. You saw at the footsteps of Harambee House when he said, all these issues have come to an end. And true to the fact, even the internet itself, the vile that we are seeing on the internet has actually gone down. Yeah. So is that something that you are expecting to play, probably a statement?
My friend and many other Kenyans are missing the point. They are saying they want to work on the deal. The deal is already there. There's no deal to work on. What was pana na kufunga mkono kama wewe na mimi tunaweza kufunga bolt, but the deal is already settled. This country has more than enough laws. Kenya has one of the most progressive constitutions, not in Africa, not in East Africa, not in Africa, in the world. We have some of the most elaborate legislation in this world. There is nothing we don't have to move forward. We have all the hardware, like Raila said. The software is missing. What is the software? The software is to make every Kenyan be proud to be a Kenyan. The software is to create nationhood, so that every Kenyan wants to, if you touch his Kenyanness, they can want to eat you with their hand, fold you and eat you with their teeth. They love their country. And the only way to do that is to have a fair go at the ultimate, which is the leadership of the country. See, and I am sure, the moment Kenyans will address that, it is the heart of the American Constitution. No 2, 3, 4 big states can gang up. The architecture of the Constitution makes it impossible. I've said this many times. In Nigeria, they have agreed. When a Southerner is president, he can only be succeeded by a Northerner. Okay. Down here in Tanzania, President mainland, first Vice President Zanzibar. You need those kind of arrangement in a country such as ours. And until you do that, anything else, that's why the Constitution has not stopped us. Okay. What is not in that Constitution? What is not there? Everything is there.
All right, we'll finally...
very quickly. Hussein, I think that the tangent that Prof is trying to take, it actually leaves a lot to be desired, because what he's trying to say is that everything will work, and I know that's what he's trying to say, when somebody becomes president. What if he doesn't? Okay, what I want Kenyans to understand is this. I can also feel important when the game, or when the plateau, or when the platform has been set to be fair. What do I mean? I want to know that if my child goes to these public schools, he has a fair chance of performing just like the other child in there. And that platform is what we are working on.
Fair chance of competing, as you say.
Fair chance of competing. Okay. That is there. I want to know that when somebody like CS Ambassador Amina is at the helm of education, a child from Kisii and a child in Mombasa and a child from Central, they have the same ionus of competing. When it comes to, when it comes to devolution, because Hussein, I believe devolution is the game changer here. Devolution is the game changer. And if we are going to adapt it to the hilt, Hussein, I am telling you here on this broadcast, it will not matter someday, some year, who is the president of this country.
What you don't understand, my friend, there is a relationship between corruption, tribalism, and state power. Because you want to gerrymander around being in power, you need your tribe to support you. That then creates tribalism. Because you need to be propped in power, then you allow buccaneers, the cartels, to rape the country's economy. So that you create the money. So that listen. But so long as you want to manipulate the system to get into power, tribalism will not go, because you need your tribe to ride to power, because you create fear in your tribe, and all these leaders do it, from NASA, from ODM, ANC. You politicize, you make it a vehicle, your tribe. We must get out of that. The moment Kenyans begin to realize becoming president is anything Hussein can become and anybody can become, you won't even call on your tribe. You just be a good person. You are a governor somewhere. People have seen your work. They make you a president of Kenya, and you don't need corruption, because you don't even need money to become president. So these things are related: state power, corruption, and tribalism. Okay, and I'm saying unless we address that, everything else is a waste of time.
We actually thought you're going to agree on issues finally. Yeah. But at least you all agree this is a...
It is a good document.
It is
a good document.
I will leave it at that.
We need to give the two gentlemen a go somewhere and eat. Okay. The two of them.
Of course, interesting days ahead when we see exactly what that structure looks like. But keep talking to us. Text us to 22422. The hashtag on Twitter is the big question. We're back with sports news after this break.